Hello, everyone. Welcome along. We're going to be talking today about some amazing nurse recruitment strategies, and I'm thrilled to have a real expert in this space. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Brandi Vines.
Hello, good afternoon. So yes, Brandi Vines, been in healthcare for over 20 years, and a lot of that being in leadership within several different healthcare staffing companies.
Awesome. And we're going to get a little bit more into that. And I saw, Brandi, you done your EMT
Yeah,
technician certificate in the
mhm.
past year. That's really impressive. Has that given you a new perspective on your work in healthcare staffing?
Absolutely. Being on an ambulance out in the field and helping patient care, it's my goal was to absolutely get closer to the clinical experience and get a better understanding of what that world's like, so I can be a better leader in the space.
Mm. Wow, yeah, so few people do that. That's really interesting. We're going to jump in to getting to know Brandy a little bit more. So, could you let us know what's your favorite sports team, Brandy?
Favorite sports team? I hate to be cliche, Adam, but I live in Dallas, Texas, so it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, no, often the best fans are the ones that live in their city. Um,
Absolutely.
Now, would you say Dallas is the best city in the country, or have you got a different favorite?
Actually, I would not. I love living in Dallas, but I'm an outdoors person, and there's not a lot to do in Dallas. It's called the concrete jungle. So
Mm,
I really prefer any city that has mountains and hiking or a beach. So that's not Dallas. So
yeah. Um, I'm not from the US. I'm from Northern Ireland, so love to ask that to see where I can go. And my cousin lives in Denver, and she's got at least two or three of those. Not so much the beach, but a lot of hiking
yeah,
and mountains.
Colorado's
Um,
a great state.
yeah. If you could do one other job, Brandy, what would it be?
Hmm. Probably sounds crazy, but I'd love to be a rancher, like a farmer, rancher, have land, cows, chicken, fresh eggs, all of that, and make
Mm,
a living out of it.
yeah. I can see the peacock behind you. Would you keep peacocks in your
Yes.
ranch?
Yes, I would. Hey, that's peacocks are great for insects. They keep all the insects away. So
Wow, do they? Okay. How do they do that?
I guess they eat them. I know
Yeah.
a lot of farmers they do. They put them on their land for that reason.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Um, so Brandy, what's the best advice you've ever heard?
So I don't even know where this phrase got started in our family, but um, the phrase that worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it won't get you very far. I just think always making sure you understand that, when you are stressed or worried about something, just channeling that energy to something productive that actually makes a difference versus fretting over it.
I love that. I've never heard that before. And we actually have a rocking chair in my house here, so I could go there if I'm worrying, just to
Mhm.
make it physically obvious that I'm not moving. That's really cool. So we want to jump a little bit into how nurse recruiters and other professionals in healthcare staffing in general can get ahead in their careers. Because I see you've got over 15 years experience as a vice president and some of the biggest healthcare staffing companies. So how could someone just starting out get ahead in their career?
I think first you need to know your industry. I always tell any new recruiters coming in, if you were to go buy a car and the car salesman is trying to sell you the vehicle, but they don't know anything about the navigation system or the engine or anything of that nature, you're not going to be as compelled to buy the vehicle. Know your industry, whether that be leaning on the nurses, nurse leaders that ask them questions and genuinely care. The more you learn, the better support you can be to anybody that you're recruiting and trying to place. So that's the first thing. Dig in deep and really learn. With Google, there's all the AI. You can learn so much just at the tip of your fingers with a computer. So take advantage of that and learn the industry and be a true advocate for those that you're supporting.
Mm, okay, that makes complete sense. I mean, you have to talk to people, and I'm learning something from you already by getting you on this call. Um, would you recommend any nurse retention initiatives to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this out of COVID, there's so much focus on compensation. And, when you look at what a nurse or any clinician really needs, of course, you need good, healthy compensation, but a large part of what people are looking for is support. So for nurse retention, I would really look at your strategies to be supportive of those clinicians that are out there in the field. That could be, really investing into your leadership development within the healthcare systems. Throughout COVID, we had so many charge nurses that went from charge to manager to director in a matter of 12-month span because of burnout and turnover. And there's a lot of people who want to be good leaders, but they just don't know how yet. We've been moving so fast for the past, since 2020. And so we've been moving so fast. I think there's a big gap of really developing the leaders to be the right support that's needed for each staff level clinician. And so I think that's one strategy healthcare systems really need to evaluate because, executive coaching, leadership development, there's not a lot of focus for spend there right now as everyone's being budget conscientious. But I equally feel like it's an important strategy to go about with your nurse or clinician retention. On the healthcare staffing side, it's the same thing, being a support. There's so many healthcare staffing companies that they have clinical liaisons or individuals that are there to be a support for the clinical population. But to a large degree, a lot of those teams are developed for risk mitigation. It's not really in the weeds advocating for what's best for that nurse, whether it be ratio concerns, patient safety concerns, and things of that nature.
And why do you think this is all so tough? Like, coming at it from the staffing perspective in particular, why is recruiting and retaining nurses so tough in 2023?
Yeah, I think it's human nature to be a creature of habit. And I think if you go back to, 10, 20 years ago, and you were to compare the way we went about healthcare staffing and compared it to how we do it today, you would find almost 100% similarities. There hasn't been a lot of evolution in how we go about doing healthcare staffing. And, there's no secret. We have a massive shortage of healthcare clinicians. So it's not going to be about working harder right now. It's going to be about working smarter, more operationally efficient, and developing ways to go about healthcare staffing in a better model that supports the current state of healthcare.
Do you have any ideas around that, like suggestions that could be done to move us ahead into the 2020s, 2030s?
Yeah, absolutely. And partnering with some really awesome teams, doing some consultative work right now that I think, there's very quickly going to be some companies that they're on the brink of the golden ticket. I hate to use the word artificial intelligence right now just because it's so overused and there's so many people pushing into the space. But there is a large focus in that space where I think there's going to be some tech advancement that really helps a healthcare system communicate what they need with better predictive analytics that allows us to forecast what the staffing needs are in a better model. Also, so many of the staffing models are antiquated. They don't, include census, acuity, and also a lot of the new team nursing models that have to be embraced right now because there's not enough nurses to go around. So really, pushing into the tech space to make sure that as we do that, those predictive analytics, and we look at what's needed truly to help our patients, that we're doing a much better job of that. Also, the amount of companies that it still takes a clinician 4 to 6 weeks to get to the healthcare system to work once they say, hey, I raised my hand, I want to come help, is astounding. And so, that's also tech advancement of really getting to a place within healthcare staffing where we can get clinicians to work faster.
Okay. I know it's been labeled a buzzword, but it is so important. I think that staff and leaders get onto this. Now, you've probably worked with a lot of organizations, VMSs, softwares, vendors across the healthcare staffing space. Who would be your favorite from your time?
Honestly, Adam, I don't think I have a favorite right now. And the reason I say that is because I've had so many exploratory discussions in the past month, with different healthcare systems as well as healthcare staffing companies. And there's so many great ideas out there right now. While it can be a little bit discouraging where we are, kind of current state of healthcare, because we do have a lot of challenges ahead of us, it's equally exciting because there's so many companies, as I mentioned, that are working on the next best solution that could be that winning ticket to really help be part of the solution. So I don't know that I have a particular favorite right now. I am highly encouraged by the amazing ideas that are coming out of the current state of healthcare.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think it would take for hospital systems to invest more in their internal nurse recruitment?
It goes back to recognizing the correlation between your staff and the patient care outcome and patient SAT scores. If you don't put those two together, that is your revenue. That's how you keep your hospital doors open. What is that patient that leaves your healthcare system, your hospital? What is the story that they're going to tell to their community and to their families? When you're understaffed or when you don't have the right training, the right level of support, that story is equally told. And so it's really making sure that, everyone understands, from the top down, that your staff that's actually giving that patient care delivery every single day, that you have to invest into that, because that's your walking billboard. Your walking billboard is that clinical staff as well as those patients that leave your healthcare system.
So it's kind of a gap in the job that nurses do, but there's not a recognition there of the value that it provides in the form of word of mouth skills.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So, Brandi, this has been great so far. I've learned a lot. I'd love to end with you sharing your biggest nurse recruitment secret, something that works and you think others in the system would benefit from.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know I talked a little bit about just knowing your industry. I think that's part of caring. You can't fake caring. I encourage people to really challenge themselves to evaluate, why are you in the healthcare staffing industry? You need to care, and it comes across when you don't genuinely care. It's hard to fake that. Knowing the industry is just part of being a caring recruiter, being that advocate for that healthcare professional that you're supporting. Equally listening. There are times that you're not the frontline clinician, right? When you're a recruiter, you don't know the stress that they're under every single shift. Sometimes they just need a ear. They need to vent. They need you to listen. They need you to, again, going back to genuinely caring. Being that person there to help them decompress after a shift and really relieve a certain level of stress by having someone that genuinely cares and listens is an invaluable characteristic of an amazing recruiter. And then that nurse, I promise you, will tell another nurse that, hey, Brandi, that recruiter, she really cares. Call her. And just tying back into caring, part of caring is making things better. Just because something's good, it doesn't mean that you don't need to be evaluating good, better, and best. You need to keep evolving, whether that be as a company, as a recruiter, reinvent yourself, consistently. If you care for any clinician that you support, you'll constantly try to be thinking of new innovative ways to be the best support to that clinician that you're supporting.
Yeah, care needs to go both ways. If you want them to care about you and loyalty and the organization they're working for. You have to care for them.
Yeah.
I love that, and that's a great note to end on. And I think you come across really genuinely there, especially since you've done that EMT course. It shows that you actually care as well about patients and the people that you work with. So thank you so much.
Wow.
And if anybody wants to speak to Brandi, look her up on LinkedIn. What sort of are you offering any services or consultations at the moment?
Yes, I'm currently doing consulting for several healthcare systems as well as startup healthcare staffing companies. So happy to help where I can.
Okay, great. Well, if you're interested, get in touch with Brandi. That's all for this week. We'll be back soon with another interview. And until then, check out our page for more updates. Thanks for joining, Brandi. Have a good day.
You as well. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks.